Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Monmouth Park here on Saturday. It's the 17th of June, 2023. Gonna look at the 10th race for Monmouth, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. If you like harness racing, today's North America Cup, which has always been one of my favorite races on the harness calendar. So I looked at that and all the other stakes races on tonight's program from Mohawk. And on the flat side, next week, join me for my Royal Ascot previews. That's going to be an excellent week of racing. First Royal Ascot race is on Tuesday, so hopefully I'll have my previews up beginning Sunday evening. But I hope I'll have some time this week and I'll get to it. But today's card from Monmouth, it's Haskell preview day. We're going to look at the stakes races 10 through 13, all conveniently packed in an all stakes pick 4, which is quite difficult at times, and I think somewhat quite logical. I think some of these races you might have to go all, but some of these races are logical. But let's get to it right now. Starting off the 10th race, actually a local prep race for the Haskell. It is the Pegasus Stakes, going for a $150,000 purse. Race for 3-year-olds here. We have a field of 8 horses going to the Monmouth main track, 1,700 meters in the trip, or a mile 16th on that main track. Before going any further, Pegasus used to always be run in the fall at the Meadowlands, and used to always be an exciting race. When the Meadowlands stopped running their 3-year-old full, or not 3-year-old full meet, their fall full thoroughbred meet. And this race got moved to Monmouth, and it's always a good race, but not as good as some of those fall Pegasus races we used to see at the Meadowlands years ago. But my top selection, I'm going to take the one horse Classic Catch, 1846 in the superfecta, 1846 super. Top selection, one horse Classic Catch, 3-year-old colt by Classic Empire. Todd Pletcher trains Paco Lopez in the saddle. The horse's most recent outing came the Peter Pan at Belmont, a mile and eighth on the 13th of May, and the horse finished 4th by 10 3/4 lengths that day. He just sat mid-pack most of the race, a little bit wide, but he just couldn't catch Archangelo, who really put on a show, went on to put on a show in the Belmont. This horse, I think, cutting back to a mile and a 16th here today, around 2 turns, should be a little bit forwardly paced. I think the pace could melt down to run for a good advantage for him to get the winner's circle today. He ran in the Wood Memorial before that Aqueduct, mile and eighth on the 8th of April, and he finished 5th by 1/4 lengths that day. He was very wide throughout, 4 wide, 6 right around the second turn. He moved late, but he was breaking from 10 of 12. He just couldn't get there. It wasn't his day to win. And then opposite 75 at Gulfstream, mile and eighth, 2nd of March. He won by 2 lengths and closing up from nowhere after not the best beginnings, a little bit wide, but he went away with it. A very good performance there. And then at Tampa in mid-January, mile 40 and opposite 75. He finished 3rd by 1 3/4 lengths that day. And he got around the race course well. He wasn't going to win, but it's good, economy kind of race for him there. And then an Aqueduct on the 20th of November, mile and eighth in the main special weight, winning by 2 1/4 lengths that day. He sat back early, a little bit wide, but he went away with it late. A very good, strong performance. His buyer could definitely win here today. Training well Belmont. At 3-1, I'll use him. You can't throw out the stablemate, the 8-horse King's Baron for Todd Pletcher and Luis Saez. 3-year-old colt by Uncle Mo. They bought this horse for, just over $750,000, $800,000 at the Keeneland sale of, Fasig-Tipton sale of March of 2022. But most recently in the at Churchill, Monaco in the Derby, he finished 14th by 25 1/4 lengths that day, and he stalked a quick pace. He hit the wall. It wasn't his day to win. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, his Louisiana Derby race, he won so easily." He walked to 3/4 and won 14-3. Of course, you're going to win off of those fractions and win the way he did. He went away with it, won by 3 1/4 lengths at the fairgrounds. A very good, strong performance. And then from a tracking trip at Tampa, mile 40 and opposite 75, he won by 7 3/4 lengths that day. And again, he won for fun. Coming here today, Monmouth is traditionally a speed favoring track. He probably won't walk like he did in the Louisiana Derby, but I think he can get a good trip. It wouldn't surprise me if he wins. I'll use him in the pick 4. But to recount my selection for the 10th from Monmouth, it is the Pegasus. Going to take the one horse Classic Catch. Give kudos to the 8-horse King's Baron. 1846 super, 1-8 in your multi-race. The 11th race now from Monmouth, it is the Eatontown Stakes. It's grade 3 event going for a $150,000 purse. Race for fillies, mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 8 horses entered to go 1,700 meters or a mile 16th on the Monmouth Park turf course. I'm going to take here the number 8 horse Gina Romantica. I'm going to go 8516 in the superfecta. 8516 super. Top selection 8 horse Gina Romantica. This 4-year-old filly bay into the mischief. Tab Brown trains. Florent Giroux comes in from Kentucky to ride this horse. The horse's most recent outing came on the 15th of October at Keeneland. a mile and the eighth in the QA2 Cup, and the horse won by 1 3/4 lengths that day. And she sat back early. She had to go in between horses, go a little wide late, but she got the job done after not the best of trips. A 91 buyer could definitely win against these horses. Could be forwardly paced, which isn't half bad. I think she could run a good race and win here today. Two back in the Pebbles at Aqueduct, a mile on the 18th of September. She finished second by a half length that day, and again she sat back early, a little bit wide, but she ran her heart out that day. Keep in mind the winner was a next start winner also. And then prior to that, in the turf debut in the risk verse at Saratoga over the mile, she won by 1 1/4 lengths. Didn't get out of the gate so well, but she sat back early, went a little wide late, and she quickened up a lot. She got the job done. 87 buyer, nothing bad about that race. Since coming to the green stuff, she's really become a better horse. Before that, her most recent dirt race in the Wilton at Saratoga over the Wilson Miles. She finished fourth by 7 lengths that day, and she didn't get out of the gate so well, and she was just, never really comfortable that day. But like I said, since coming to the green stuff, really been running and training well. I expect her to run a good race here today. I'm going to use her. I think the 5-horse Spirit and Glory should get a good trip and win for Nick Juarez. Most recent, the Miss Liberty, she won by 3/4 length, and basically from a tracking trip, she won for fun. A very good race there. Before then, the Plenty of Grace at Aqueduct over the miles, she finished fourth by 3 lengths that day, and they went a little bit slow for her to get a good pace there late. And then before then, the Endeavor, she just never was really comfortable. But coming back to Monmouth again, I think she'll see a strong pace to close up with. At 6-1, I'll use her. Also, give a shot to the 1-horse here, surprisingly, for Shug McGahee and Paco Lopez. Most recently, the Bugay, she just, she closed up a little bit too late that day. But the win 3 back in the Endeavor could definitely win against these horses. And some of the races last summer, like the win at Ellis, could definitely win here. I'll use her on the ticket. And then the 6-horse Malafath, hasn't won stateside here yet, but the races in Europe, especially that Prix Imprudus, the local prep race for their guineas at Deauville last year, could definitely win here. I'll give this horse a shot on the ticket at 4-1 in this very wide Eatontown. Like I said, some of these races are a little logical, some of these races are a bit of head scratchers. But to recount my selection now for the 11th of Monmouth, it is the Eatontown. We're going to take as a top selection the 8-horse here, who is Gina Romantica, 8-5-1-6 Super. Use all 4 of them in the pick 4. And if you want all this race, I wouldn't, blame you at all. The 12th race now from Monmouth. It is the Salvator Mile. It's a grade 3 event going for a $150,000 purse, raced for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 10 horses taking a stroll around the Monmouth main track, 1,600 meters around, or a mile on that main track. I'm going to take the 1-horse Petulante. I'm going to go 1926 in the superfecta. 1926 super. Top selection, 1-horse Petulante. Hopefully I said that right. This 4-year colt by Arrogate. Vic Barboza trains. Luis Saez gets the mount. This horse is going around a 2-turn for the first time, but most recently around a 1-turn Mile Churchill on the 6th of May on optional 80. The horse went by 1/4 lengths, and he had a little bit of a wide trip that day, but he stalked, he got the lead, and he went away with it. A 95 buyer off the bench. A very good, strong performance. Coming here, speed favoring track, I think he could run a good race and go away with it. 2 back in optional 25 at Gulfstream, 1 mile 20th of January. The horse went by 4.5 lengths that day, and basically on the front and all throughout, he went away. A good, strong performance there, and a dead heat with the other winner there. And then at Tampa, 16th of December, 7 furlongs optional 16. He finished second by 2.25 lengths, and he came from the back that day. He didn't get so clearly out of the gate that day. He didn't break bad, but other horses broke better than him. But he sat back early, closed up a little bit late, 50 cents of the dollar. Not a bad place there. And then before that, 25 at Goldstream over the 7. He finished second by a neck that day. He stalked, he got caught. What can you do? Maybe a little bit too fast to that 3/4 and 109-1. What can you do? But he's trading well at Goldstream. I'll give him a shot on the ticket. I think his second likeliest winner is the 9-horse Atrocious for Chad Brown and Judd Mine and Florence Roux. Most recently, the Perryville Keeneland over the 7 in the fall. He finished 4th by 10.5 lengths that day and just had nothing. Then show up in the Travers, but if you take those 2 races out, he could definitely win against these horses. Won the Curling closing up from nowhere. I won at Belmont over 1-turn mile last June quite easily. I'll give him a shot here. He could definitely win on the ticket at 3-1. But to recount my selection for the 12th race from Monmouth now, it is the Salvator Mile. I'm going to take the 1-horse Petulante. Give kudos to the 9-horse Atrocious. 1926 Super. 19 your multi-race. The 13th race, I guess it's featured on the program from Monmouth. It is the Monmouth Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a $150,000 purse, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 6 horses going 1,800 meters or a mile and eighth on the Monmouth Park turf course. I'm going to take here the number 6 horse Catnip as a top selection. Let's go 6-3-2-1 in the superfecta. 6-3-2-1 super. Top selection, the 6 horse Catnip. This 4-year-old gelded by Kitten's Joy. Michael stood in trains. Joel Rosario gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 27th of May at Monmouth, mile 16th and optional 30, and the horse won by a length that day. And from a tracking trip, he sat back early, got a little bit wide late, but when he had the turn of foot, he went away with it. A very good, strong performance. Back to stakes quality horses, not the world's deepest group. I think he'd get a good trip to win here today. 2 back at Keeneland on 26th of April, 1 mile allowance race, 109,000. He won by a neck that day. Didn't get out of the gate so well from a wide post draw, but he settled well after that. Got a little wide late, but he timed the race perfectly. He got the job done. 87 buyer, nothing bad about that race. And then before that, as a 3-year-old at Keeneland, about a mile and eighth on the 26th of October in allowance race, 110,000. He finished 4th by 5 1/4 lengths that day. Was very, very rambunctious. After that race, they did geld him, but he was very rambunctious. He was never really comfortable and just very lazy. It just wasn't his day to win. And then before then, the Virginia Derby at Colonial over the mile and eighth, he finished 6th by 4 3/4 lengths. He just kind of stalked and got beat by better horses on the day. Since gelding, this horse has really been improving a lot. He's training well, has some speed if he wants to use it. It wouldn't surprise me here. I think the 3-horse Speaking Scout should run a good race also for Grand Motion. Most recently, the Dinner Party. He finished 4th by 3/4 length that day and was closing up well late, just a little bit too late, but he ran his heart out that day. And the Maker's Mark at Keeneland over the mile. He finished 5th by 10 lengths. Just got beat by better horses that day, but ran a decent 3rd in the Pegasus and then won the Hollywood Derby quite nicely by 3/4 length, earning a 90 buyer. If he runs the last race, he could definitely win here. Training well at Far Hills, 4-1. Let's use him in the pick 4. But to recount my selection for the 13th now from Monmouth, it is the Monmouth Stakes. Let's take the 6-horse Catnip. Give kudos to the 3-horse Speaking Scout. 6-3-2-1 super. 6-3 in your multi-race. So good luck to all. Remember to follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. Good luck, everybody.